You are now listening to the Grio's Black Podcast Network, Black Culture Amplified.
Hello, you're listening to Harlem and Moscow, an original audio play presented by the Grio Black Podcast Network. Harlem and Moscow is a 6-episode drama with 3 additional companion podcasts. Harlem and Moscow, Red Flags. Harlem and Moscow is based on a true story. Episode 2, Mission to Moscow, stars Jay Ivey as Langston Hughes, Evan Frazier as Dorothy West, and features Nancy Gilliam, Broderick CLAVERY, SUSAYE LAWSON, and BREANNA COSETTE. I am your narrator, commenter, and teller of tales, Jared Alexander. Let's get you all caught up on the journey from Harlem to Moscow. The trip to the Soviet Union begins. Dorothy West and her on and off again beau, journalist Henry Lee, and 20 other black writers, artists, and intellectuals meet up with Louise Thompson. Louise Thompson is a prominent professor, activist, and the organizer of the trip from Harlem to Moscow. Absolutely everyone is buzzing that renowned poet and writer Langston Hughes is coming on the trip, especially Dorothy. But she's super stressed when Langston is late. The ship's captain is about to sail off without him, and Dorothy cannot contain her concern and excitement to her mother as she recalls the day they set sail.
Before you start, I have to point out that I didn't lie to you, Mom. I thought I would be back before winter, although it's almost summer now. Let's skip to the part I know you're dying to hear about. Langston Hughes. Much in Langston fashion, he almost missed the boat. The day we set sail, we were all on the deck waiting for him. Louise was negotiating with the captain while I stood at the rail with Henry Lee and all the rest.
I promised the captain that Langston would be giving a generous tip in exchange for his tardiness.
Lang probably spent the last of his lecture money just getting here.
Say that a little louder, Henry Lee. I hope the captain doesn't mind cigarettes. Would you like one, Dorothy?
No, thank you. I don't smoke.
Henry Lee?
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Excuse me, Miss Louise.
Just Louise is fine, Dorothy. You can do away with the titles altogether and call me Comrade.
Louise, what happens if Langston Hughes doesn't make it? Perhaps someone should have waited down on the dock?
You seem awfully concerned.
If I had spent the month saving, I would be upset no one came for me.
Don't worry your pretty little head. He sent this to me this morning. Telegram. I guess he didn't spend all his money to get to the East Coast.
Louise, stop. I'm on my way. Stop. Hold that ship because to me it's an ark.
I guess that makes us the animals.
Henry Lee! People are watching! And you smell like tobacco. Stand over there.
We haven't even left the States and you're already regressing.
You forgot what it was like to be young. Must have been so long ago for you.
Ha! Ha! You kids had better behave yourself. This is more than just a study abroad. Promise me you won't let anything get out of hand. And if you go out Saturday night, I better not read about it in Sunday's paper.
You won't me, Louise.
Somebody has to. We need to finish room assignments. I assume you'll be wanting to room with Teddy?
Unless we're allowing co-ed bunking.
We are not. And you, Dorothy? Have you thought about a roommate?
The only person I know well is Molly and Wayland.
I didn't realize you had a thing for older men.
He is a perfectly nice man and an incredible actor.
Unfortunately, Molly is rooming with me. She wasn't sure if Helen would be tagging along with you. This is good. It will give you a chance to get to know someone you wouldn't normally cross paths with in the city or on Martha's Vineyard.
It's Oak Bluffs to us, not the vineyard. And I don't spend all my time there, just summers and holidays and birthdays and weddings.
Oh, I see Teddy signaling me. That face means he wants to sneak a drag. Excuse me, ladies.
As I was saying, let's put you with someone new, Someone whose family doesn't own a vacation cottage. Ah, Mildred.
Hi, Lou.
Mill, I'd like you to meet Dorothy West, writer, actor, student at Columbia. Dorothy, this is Mildred Jones. She just finished her art degree at Hampton. She's the next Robert S. Duncanson.
You're too kind, Louise. How do you do, Dorothy?
It's lovely to meet you.
Oh, I think I see Lang. Captain, I see him.
What kind of art do you make?
I'm a painter. I also do some secretarial work for Lang sometimes, typing poems and essays and such.
You know Langston? I've only met him a few times myself. Are the two of you...
Oh, no. We're good friends. Langston isn't tied to anyone's apron strings.
What about you? I mean, did your husband come with you to the city?
I hope not. I did my best to throw him off my trail with the divorce.
How awful. I'm sorry.
I'm not. Here comes Lang. Dorothy, you might want to pick your job from the deck.
Good morning, comrades.
Langston! We were beginning to think you wouldn't make it.
Didn't you get my telegram?
Yes, and the captain will be expecting a tip, by the way.
I'll be sure to slip it to him before we make land. Is everyone accounted for? Henry Lee and Teddy couldn't get Count T to change his mind.
Can you blame him? The last time he went overseas, he came back without a wife.
Shame, shame. This time he could have come back with a husband. Oh, don't give me that look, Louise. I'm only joking, of course. Hello, Molly. So good to see you again. Mill, I might have some typing jobs for you once we arrive in Moscow.
Of course you do.
I'll be running around too much to be anchored by a typing machine. And who's this little thing?
I'm Dot. Dorothy West, sir. But my friends call me Dot.
I would love to shake your hand, but it seems to be occupied by a telegram. Hold on, this looks familiar. That ship to me is an ark. Whoever wrote this has an excess of drama and of coins. To buy so many words when hold the boat stop, on the way stop, could have easily sufficed. But now your hand is unoccupied, so put it there.
We've actually met before, Mr. Hughes. I attended one of your lectures at Fisk, and I saw you again at Tilly's, and again at the Cotton Club.
Hold on, were you the kid who had that short story published? The typist.
The typewriter. Yes, you remembered.
Of course I remember you, Dot. Come here. Welcome to the family, kid. And please rid yourself of these misters and sirs before we arrive in Moscow. Oh, Louise, we need a picture before we sail.
You heard the man. Waylon, grab those chairs. Gather round. Men in the back. Tall men, Teddy. Sure. Yes, stand on that. And someone grab that life preserver with the name of the ship. Yes, we'll put that right up in front. Okay, everyone in places? Dorothy, why aren't you in the picture? I suppose the two of us must sit on the floor, if you don't mind a little dirt. All right, everyone, look to the camera. Stay still, and no silly faces or goofy teeth showing. We are here to do something grand, and we must look the part. Sit up straight, Mill, would you?
I'm perfectly comfortable how I am, Lou.
Oh, suit yourself. It's only a picture that'll last forever. Everybody look sharp. On my count, 3, 2, 1.
And just like that, we were off. I didn't get to see much more of Langston, as it rained almost every day, so we spent most days in the cabin. We ended up in Berlin for a night. I heard people say prostitutes prowl the streets in Berlin, and they do. Some of the men came back to the hotel, bull-skating about the German women willing to do anything and everything for cheap because they were curious about being with a Negro. Maybe I should be skipping this part of the story when telling my mother. It was a short stay. and then we were on a train only one stop from the Soviet Union. I was in a compartment with Henry Lee and Molly. Although she had to run off in search of the food cart, Henry Lee and I sat in a tense silence. I knew something was on his mind, but I couldn't tell what.
I didn't think the trains in Russia would look exactly like they did in New York. It's a bit, disappointing.
What were you expecting? The conductors to be old women in babushkas?
Hey, I heard they got women doing men's work in Russia. I'm sure they got some female train conductors. So can we close the door in the city?
Not until Molly comes back. How would it look?
Like we're two adults who need a little privacy. It's loud. People passing by, the luggage being dragged. I could barely hear myself think. It would be nice to shut the door.
I'm sorry, but the door stays open until Molly comes back or we reach Moscow.
Oh, so we can close the door in the city.
That's not what I said. You're twisting my words.
It's not a twist, it's a spin.
What do you know about that woman, Mildred?
Not much. I've heard she's a fantastic painter, but I've mostly known her for doing typing work around town. She's worked with the Amsterdam a few times. She's fast and accurate.
I felt as though she was staring at me while we were taking pictures. I hope I didn't say anything wrong. I may have reacted poorly to learning she was a divorcee.
I'm surprised you noticed she was staring at all. You could hardly drag your eyes away from Langston.
That is not true.
Mm-hmm. And how many pictures did you take with him? Just the two of you?
Only a couple. A few.
And how many did you take with me? The man who lent you $10 to go on the trip?
Are you upset with me?
I actually think this will be good for the both of us, but especially for you. We're going to another country. Hell, we're already in another country. We should be free to explore and have fun without worrying about hurting someone else.
I came on this trip because you asked me to.
You seemed pretty hesitant until Lang was mentioned.
He could be a mentor for me.
He could be a lot of things, but he won't be. I'm sure you'll figure out on your own all the things he can't do.
You're speaking in riddles.
You're just not listening, Dot. You're still so young. I always thought you might be more open as time went on. Maybe Wally was right.
Since when do you and Wally talk, let alone about me?
He makes some good points about you and your cousin. You've been in Harlem for almost 5 years and you still haven't truly let loose. Feels like there's this fire inside of you, but you never let it out. Or at least, not for me. If you carry on the way you are, you'll die an old maid.
That's it! I'm taking my bag and I'm moving cars. I don't need to take advice from a man who was just drooling over some white prostitute who was willing to kiss him for a dime.
It was a nickel, actually.
Well then, Henry Lee, I wish you all the best with your loose women and spinning stories or whatever you're here to do. I'm going to focus on my career as an actress and a writer. And if that's not exciting enough for you, then I guess I'm just not an exciting girl.
There's no need to make a speech. You're not on camera right now.
Ow!
Dot?
Langston! Hello. Sorry, I had to leave my compartment. I'll go find an empty one.
Nonsense. Join us.
Oh, hello, Mildred. I didn't realize you were here too. I don't want to interrupt anything.
You didn't interrupt anything that can't be continued later. Come here, next to me.
I can take your bag. Sit. Please. You don't mind if I close the door, do you?
Don't worry, I'll make sure Lang stays on his side of the compartment.
I suppose that's all right if it's the three of us. What were you two talking about before?
Oh, nothing too exciting. Who did you abandon back there?
Henry Lee decided it was best if we left each other free to explore on this trip.
You don't say.
He was barely speaking English. I still don't understand half of what he said. He was the one who asked me to come with him, and now he's the one to end things.
Nothing better than being unattached in a foreign city.
This would be a good thing for you, kid.
That's what Henry Lee said. I'm not interested in romance. I'm ready to work.
I hope we do as little work as possible. I spent enough time working in Harlem.
We are about to experience true freedom. I mean, even here on this train, there's no separation of class like there was on the ship. There's no need to move to the colored section just because we pass an arbitrary border. In the Soviet Union, we can be exactly what we are and not be ashamed of it.
There might not be a color line, but Russia does still have rules we'll have to follow.
Well, we'll just have to see what we can get away with.
Ah, we must be here.
Oh! I'm so sorry, Mildred. The train knocked me clear out of my seat.
No need to apologize. And please, call me Mel.
All right. Mill.
By the way, do you two have your roommate situation figured out yet? All the other ladies might be booked up.
I assumed Molly would be mine, but I heard she's spoken for.
Let's room together then. Your friend Molly can come for a visit whenever she'd like.
All right.
Come on, don't let the train take off or you'll end up in China.
Louise, forever punctual.
We made our way off the train with our bags dragging behind us. There was a crowd at the train station and they were singing. I asked Langston, is there a festival or something?
This is for us. We're honored guests. The first Negro film cast in the Soviet Union. Hell, in all of Russian history. Look at that banner there. They've even written it in English.
Workers of the world unite.
It's wonderful. But what are they singing?
The Internationale, a song of revolution and solidarity. A song for a new world.
On behalf of the MESCHRABOM Film Production Company, welcome Negro comrades. Welcome to the Soviet Union.
Back home in Oak Bluffs, Dorothy is trying to tell her mother something important before guests arrive at the family's home in the vineyard.
My dear daughter, you know I never liked Henry Lee.
Mom,
He would have been a fine match. I'm sure he has a bright future ahead of him, but you could do better. Oh, that would be Betty with the little ones for lunch. They want to hear all about Russia and Berlin and all the rest.
I was hoping to finish telling you first before I saw anyone else. Remember, I still have something to tell you, to ask you.
You can finish telling and asking me whenever. Now that you're back in Oak Bluffs, we can talk about it every day for the rest of my life if you'd like. For now, go answer the door before they melt outside.
But after lunch and they leave, can we continue?
Of course. I want to hear all about it. Now the door.
Yes, ma'am. After lunch, we'll get to the singing and dancing part of the trip.
And Langston. Was he there singing and dancing as well? I noticed he never disappeared from your letters.
Lang is not much of a singer, but we danced a bit.
I can see why you don't want to tell it with the little ones.
All right, I'm coming.
Mrs. Dorothy Hughes. I like that.
Next time on Harlem and Moscow, Episode 3. When in Moscow.
You Africans are not what was expected.
Negroes, young Hans. We're Americans.
What do those boys do all night?
The men are doing what the men always do when they're abroad. White women.
Mill, don't look at me like that.
The much anticipated script, Black and White.
You make it all sound so good.
That's my job.
Oh, Langston, I would just love to come back to the hotel with you and read over your shoulder.
I like this one.
They do not do this sort of thing in Boston.
Sure they do. They just don't invite you.
Thank you for listening to Harlem and Moscow, an original audio play presented by the Griot Black Podcast Network. Harlem and Moscow was written by ALLE MIMS and directed by Aries Harper and Regina Griffin. Sam Riddell is the producer and sound designer. Our audio engineers are Aaron Reppert and Carrie Durham, with music by Transitions and the URSS Soviet Chorus. We'd like to thank our amazing cast: Jay Ivey as Langston Hughes, Evan Frazier as Dorothy West, Nancy Gilliam as Rachel West, Broderick CLAVERY played the roles of Henry Lee and the MESCHRABOM official, also starring SUSAYE LAWSON as Louise Thompson, BREANNA Cosette as Mildred Jones, Sam Riddell as the train conductor, plus yours truly, Jared Alexander, your narrator. Harlem and Moscow continues with Episode 3, When in Moscow. But first, if you're dying for more on the real story and the real people, check out our companion podcast, Harlem and Moscow, Red Flags. Harlem and Moscow is such a powerful story that few people know about. Please rate, review, share, and tell a friend about this important adventure in Black history.